All right, so I'm gonna come in. I'm back. This is Queen Renee, and this is gonna be part two. We're gonna go finish up the story of my of how I met and married my ex-husband and what transpired throughout that relationship. So hopefully you guys watched part one, so you know you're up to speed with where we are here in part two. So after we got married, we ended up getting married, and like I said, he ended up not being the person that I thought he was. So um the day that we got married, after all was said and done, all the, the whole fanfare and everything, and we're on our way to the hotel, um, which we didn't have a real honeymoon, but we did go and spend the night um, at a hotel. We had we got a suite at a hotel. So, and my mother actually was in Minnesota for the wedding because my mother's the one that paid for everything and coordinated everything and took care of everything to do with the wedding. So my mom was there and she kept the kids for us overnight, um, so that we could go to the hotel. So, anyways, when we were on our way to the hotel, and we're in the car, and he's driving. And as he's driving, he starts to cry. When he starts to cry, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because I have a problem with people crying around me. I don't like it. It makes me feel very uncomfortable because I'm not normally a crier. I was when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I was like this. I was the biggest crybaby you ever wanted to meet, and I cried at the drop of a hat. Like it didn't take nothing for me to cry, but I actually developed a very thick, tough skin, I guess. And it's just an outer, because a lot of people think that I don't have emotions. A lot of, I'll say, men that I deal with will say that I'm emotionless and I'm cold. I'm a cold-hearted woman or whatever, what have you. And I really am not, but that's a defense mechanism that I use, to keep to guard my heart, to guard me from being hurt and feeling some type of way. So anyway, um, so we're in the car and he's driving and he starts crying, and I'm like feeling really uncomfortable, and I'm like, why are you crying? What's wrong with you? And he's like, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Um, and as I'm sitting in this car, I'm thinking to myself, you have just made the biggest mistake of your life. I knew the very day that I married that man that I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. And I was like, what have you done? What have you done? So after after our honeymoon, which, well, our night at the hotel, and it was really like, it was not a good night. Um, it was not enjoyable, and so that just confirmed what I thought, that this isn't this isn't gonna work. This isn't good, because I'm not feeling good about this. Um, but anyway, we go on, and when we get home, my mother informs us that she's actually going to take the kids with her. She's like, I'm going to take the kids with me, um, to back home with me, so that I can give you guys some time to get to know each other, you know, to kind of spend some time with each other as husband and wife. And I'm going to have them for like 2 weeks, and I'll bring them back. I'm like, okay, cool. So the 2 weeks that they were gone, and it's just me and him in the house, I'm thinking, because the night of our marriage, the night that we were married, I had a perception of what I thought a wedding night should be. And I honestly thought you get married, and especially the night of your marriage, um, rafters. You're supposed to be jumping off chandeliers and things. And that just actually was not the case. And I was just kind of dumbfounded by that. I kind of didn't get it. I didn't understand that. And I was like, what is really going on here? Um, it was not, like I said, it wasn't a good evening. Not for it to be a wedding night. So that was that. And then when my mom took, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was thinking, okay, let me give him the benefit of the doubt. We have been very busy this whole week getting prepared for this marriage. Um, he's probably tired, what have you. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, once my mom took the kids with her, I'm thinking, okay, so it's just me and him in the house. It should be some chandelier jumping, some something. No. I was like, what is really going on? Now, the reason that I guess I was having such a hard time with it was because I'm like, before we got married, he could not keep his hands off me. Um, he was always touching and rubbing and carrying on, and I'm steady saying, can't do it, can't do it. Now that we're married, what is going on? We're like, it's like dry. Like, we're not really having sex much at all. And we just got married. So I was just kind of like dumbfounded, like, okay, I'm over this already. This is stupid. And yeah, I shouldn't have married him. So, um, but that was kind of how our relationship was. It was really like, I had even, at one point during our marriage, I had even had, we had to go talk to his pastor, because I was like, okay, I know you don't want to talk to my pastor, but we need to talk to somebody. We need to talk to somebody, because this dynamic of this marriage is not working. What is really going on? So, ended up going and having a talk with his pastor, which really didn't fix anything. Um, it still was what it was, and I was like, okay, I'm over it. I'm good. I'm over it. I'm good. So we ended up um, deciding. He decided that he wanted another baby. Um, we had been married about I don't know, a little, not even a good year. Um, Maybe a little bit, you know, almost a year or whatever. Um, and he decided he wanted a baby. And I was like, no, I don't want a baby. I don't want any more children. And he's adamant he wants another child. He wants to try for a boy. And I'm like, dude, I do not want any more children. So he convinces me that we should have another child. So we end up trying to get pregnant. And for a minute, I couldn't get pregnant. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't get pregnant. But I just wasn't getting pregnant. So we tried for a few months. And every time I would try, take a pregnancy test, I wouldn't be pregnant. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'm just not going to be able to have another kid. And I was okay with that because I already had three. So I didn't really need another one. But he really wanted another baby. So we tried and tried, and I finally ended up getting pregnant. And once I got pregnant with my last child, with my baby, um I had informed him, I had already told him, I said, look, if I have a baby, I'm having it specifically for you. I'm not having it because I want one, because I was adamant I really did not want any more children. And I was like, I'll give you one more, but that's all I'm doing is carrying it. I'm not um I'm not changing no pampers. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night to deal with no baby. Um, None of that. I'm not doing any of that. And if you want this baby, that's the price. You know, that's what you're gonna have to do to get it. I'll carry it, but I ain't doing nothing else. So he was like, "All right, fine. I'll. That's fine. I'm good with that." So, needless to say, I have my I have my son. I have my youngest child, my baby boy. Um, he ends up being um a little sweetheart, a little at first. He became a demon later. Um, but he was just such a cute little kid. But I was dead set. I'm not taking care of this baby. I'm not doing it. So he would get up at night. He would do everything for him. I really didn't do much with him because I didn't have to. Um, he changed diapers. He did feedings. All of that. I didn't breastfeed with him. Um, None of that. So it was when what happened. Also, what happened was when I had him in August of 2001, and when I had him, I actually had complications. So, as I stated before, all my children were born from by cesarean. When I had him, I had actually had after the surgery, I actually the wound opened up. So I had a big gaping hole in my stomach from um, from the birth, and I was like, okay. Um, so it had to heal from the inside out, and the doctor was like, you can't drive, you you need to be on bed rest, da 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 da. So my mother ended up, because my ex husband was in my husband was in the he was in the National Guards at the time, and so he had it was his 2 weeks that he needed to be in the guard, and so my mother was like, look, I can't come there and stay, but what I'll do is I'll come and I'll get you and bring you and the kids back here for the 2 weeks that he's gone, and then he can come and pick you guys up on his, once he gets done. And I was like, okay, I'm good with that. So we end up staying with my mom for a couple weeks, and then he comes and he gets us and brings us back home. Now, I failed to tell you guys this. When I was pregnant with my son, I actually, the last 6 weeks of pregnancy, I was threatening a miscarriage. So I ended up being put on bed rest for the last 6 weeks of my pregnancy. And when my doctor put me on bed rest, he was like, now, when I say bed rest, that is exactly what I mean. I don't mean you just get off of work and just be at home doing whatever you want to do. No, I mean you go and get in the bed and you don't move. Um, Only to get up and go to the bathroom, and that's about as far as I want you to go. So I was like, okay, but I had been on bed rest with my daughter, but I didn't listen. I actually went out of town. I got on the highway and drove to my mom's house when I was supposed to be on bed rest. So this time he's like, I don't want any of that. You need to be at home because you're going to lose this baby. So I was like, all right. So I was on bed rest, and while I was on bed rest, um, he was working. I don't know the name of the place or whatever. Can't remember, but he was working, and and it was this chick, this female, that apparently he was supposedly giving rides to, um, back and forth to work, um, to and from work. And one day I'm in the bed and my phone rings, and there's this woman on the line, and she's yelling at me, and she's saying, you need to get up off of your fat A and um take care of your husband, and he running around here, he don't ain't got no lunch, and this, that, and the other, and he begging people for lunch and da 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 da. And I'm thinking to myself, who the heck are you? I don't even know you, first of all. And I'm like, how dare you call my phone and say anything to me? Because I'm just like flabbergasted. Like, you cannot be serious right now. So, and I'm like, he knows how to, if he hungry, he know how to cook. He know how to get himself lunch. I'm not understanding. Why are you calling my phone? I'm gonna need you to get off my line. So she's like, well, you need to learn how to take care of your husband and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, who is this female? And what what gives her the audacity to think that she can just call my phone and talk to me like this about my husband, not her husband, my husband. So when he got home, I'm like, dude, who the heck is this broad calling my phone? First of all, how she get my number? Why is she calling my house? Um, about you? Oh, she's just my friend at work, and she just was feeling that, feeling bad for me or whatever. I said, so you at your job down talking me, talking about me, saying I don't cook for you and this, that, and the other. And I'm laying up here on bed rest with a child, with your child. And not just your child, but your child that you asked me for. That you specifically asked me for. I'm laying up here threatening a miscarriage with your kid. And you got some random broad from your job calling me on the phone, telling me how I'm not taking care of my husband? Okay, bet. So I was like, I bet you what? You better not be giving her no more rides in your car. I better not never, that better not never call my house again. Because if she do, it's gonna be me and you. So he was like, I'm sorry, woo woo. No, you're not. You ain't a bit more sorry than the man in the moon. It don't matter. Whatever. I just bet not never. She better not never call my house. Let's just keep it at that. So she never did call my house, but it was just the audacity of the whole situation. And for him, you know, for it to even have, for you to even have given that woman my number. To, and obviously, I'm of the thought that anytime a female approaches you about yours and think that she can call you and check you about yours, he's sleeping with her because she feel like she got a right to talk to you about your man. Y'all more than just friends. So, but he claimed, no, no, no. She just a friend, and she just was concerned, and da 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 da. I don't give a dang how concerned you might be about nothing up in here. So, anyway, moving on. So, I never did hear this woman come back up in conversation ever. I don't know if I don't know what he did with her. I don't know what he said to her or whatever, but she never did call my house again and ever say anything else to me about him. So we had the baby. Baby comes out. We think the baby's healthy and everything, but we find out, we know that, my mom kept saying that something was wrong with him. And I kept saying, why do you keep saying that? And she's like, something wrong with this baby. And I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with him. He goes to the doctor, and he gets his checkup and everything. And they say he's fine or whatever. And I was like, he got a little bit of asthma. He got asthma, but he's fine. Um, the first time I took him, I knew something was wrong with him, and I had took him to the doctor, and the first doctor that he had, I had took him to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, he's probably got asthma. He was like, but even if he does, there's nothing that we can really do about it anyways. And I was like, so him breathing like this and sounding like that is okay. And he's like, uh well, ain't nothing we really can do about it. He's too little right now to really do anything. So I didn't like what he said. And because I didn't like what he said, I went and got a second opinion. And I actually took him to see, I made an appointment with my doctor, which my doctor was a family practitioner. And so he's like, he tells me, he's like, no. He's like, he does sound like he has asthma. Um, but what does he mean that there's nothing that can be done? He was like, you can give him nebulizers. So we started getting him on nebulizers and stuff. And then at some point, he developed pneumonia. And when he developed pneumonia, we had x-rays done and everything. And we thought that was all there was, is that he just developed pneumonia because he, you know, had asthma and blah, blah, blah. Well, kind of find out he had a heart problem. Um, we learned about a year later, and he was almost 2 when we found this out. Um, no, he was almost 2 when we found that out. And they say he had been born with it, because this is not something that develops. It's a birth defect, congenital heart failure. And they had told us at one point that his life expectancy was not long, um, if we didn't get him have open heart surgery. And that's a story for another day. So, but anyway, um, we honestly we went. Our marriage just was kind of like, it just kind of was, and had we didn't have a marriage where we fought a lot and where we argued a lot. I just would be like, I'm good. Um, I don't have a lot to say to you. When I do say it, then when I get mad, I'm gonna snap off. And it was just little bitty things that he would do. I remember when we first got married, um, like I had never, the whole time that we had been together, I had never heard him say a cuss word. And we hadn't been married but a few days, maybe a couple weeks, maybe. And I heard him curse. And I was like, whoa, whoa, where'd that come from? Because at that point I was really in church, like real tough in church. And I didn't curse, I didn't drink, nothing. So when I heard him cuss, it just kind of threw me off, and I was like, I have never heard you curse. And he made the comment. He was like, yeah, I was trying to get you then. he was like, I got you now. And that kind of threw me for a loop because I was just like, wow, eh, what are you saying? Um, and I came to realize what he was saying when he made that statement um, as the years went on. So at one point in time, I had gotten really, actually, when I had my gastric bypass, yeah, when I had my gastric bypass, um, no, was it before I had my gastric bypass? Yeah, before I had my gastric bypass, um, there was this lady that he went to church with, and he actually tried to get me to be friends with this lady. And I'm like a really friendly type of person. So like when I meet people or whatever, I usually, I'm kind of standoffish. I'm kind of shy when I first meet people because what is wrong with him? Um, I don't really, I don't really, talk much when I'm gonna have to stop this video because something is wrong with my husband. Well, my significant other right now. And so this is part two. I'm gonna finish up in part three. Um, I thank you guys for bearing with me, but I gotta go and see what's going on in that room over there. But I'll be back.